ranking your club's start to the Premier League season. I've got all 20 clubs here, and I'm just going to do this by a simple like A grade, B grade, C grade, F grade sort of ranking. So let's just get straight into it. And I'm going to start with the guys that have impressed me the most, and that is Liverpool. And most certainly for me, they deserve an A+. Absolutely incredible under Arne Slot. I think they're passing the ball really well, getting into really great positions, and it's almost as if Klopp is a far distant memory. It's almost like they're still under Klopp in the fact that they're still performing at a high level, they're still exciting, and I feel like the future is definitely bright under Slot ball, and I feel like they're definitely going to be, you know, title challengers and continue this form for a very long time. Next up, it is Manchester City, and it's A-. I didn't want to put too many in A+, but I feel like Man City, we know how good they are. I feel like they've made some, you know, quite silly mistakes in certain games. Which makes their sort of ranking go a bit lower. But of course, Erling Haaland is firing. What's there not to like for a City fan, to be honest? But I feel like A- to the standards we know City can get to is pretty fair. Let's just go straight into Arsenal, my team. And I feel for us, pretty much it is an A-. I feel like it's an A- as well. I know it hasn't been great, but if you're looking at the fixtures we've had, Wolves, Aston Villa, Brighton, it's a pretty decent start. Of course, you would want to, you know, beat Brighton at home, but in the circumstances, going down to 10 men, I feel like an A- is a pretty good start, still unbeaten, and I feel like now it's a big moment for the team to see how they bounce back in the North London derby and the game against City. Let's just swiftly move on, and I'm just going to go into Manchester United, and they have been absolutely atrocious. F. Without a shadow of a doubt, Manchester United should get an F. They have been so poor. You know, under Ten Hag, they've been under Ten Hag for such a while now. You'd think there's an identity, but there's nothing there. You know, they've only won one game. They've on a minus goal difference. They're getting battered. They're actually getting destroyed in games, which is such a shame. And I thought there was hope after the Brighton game. I thought they were playing some good stuff, but evidently no. So an F for Manchester United. Let's just move on to the next one. Tottenham Hotspur. We'll just get the big six out of the way. And for me, it's a B+ for Tottenham. And I know that sounds crazy considering the fact, you know, that they've only had, you know, 4 points. But I feel like the football they're playing is so good. It's just that they struggle to put the ball in the net. And I'm sure when Solanke fits in, Tottenham will, you know, be definitely fighting for top 4 and definitely get top 4. And I feel like it's just a matter of time until they click and get some goals going in the team. Let's just move on to Chelsea. And for me, same situation as Tottenham. You can see there's a pattern of play. You can see there's an identity. They just keep missing chances. But I feel like Chelsea have been quite impressive, to be honest. Beating Wolves in that manner was a statement. It just shows how good they can be once they've got that sort of connection, relationship and fluidity. So for me, a B+ is pretty fair. Let's move on to Villa. And for me, A+ for Villa. A+ definitely. Had some tricky games, tricky away games, away to West Ham, away to Leicester, home to Arsenal, and they have won the games I'd expect them to win. I was a bit disappointed they didn't do more against Arsenal. I know it's my team, but I did expect a bit more. I know they had some good moments with Rodgers, with Onana's looks absolutely incredible, but Aston Villa, for me, they're going to be up there again. They're going to show people that they're here to stay and pretty much upset the big six. So I feel like, for me, definitely an A+ with Liverpool. Let's move on to Bournemouth. And Bournemouth, for me, A-. I think Bournemouth have been pretty good. A point against Newcastle, beating Everton, a point against Forest. They're still unbeaten. It's going to take time to really get into it for Bournemouth, but I feel like they've done a pretty decent start, to be honest. And Mina Iraola is a really good manager. Let's just move on to Brentford. And for me, A- again. I really thought Brentford would struggle this season, but they've been so impressive in the, you know, the games that they've had. They've won both games that I'd expect them to win. That show that they're actually a good club. You know, Liverpool away is always a tough game, but the games against Southampton, the game against Crystal Palace, who I thought would be quite off the blocks this season, they won them both. So Brentford are surprising me, hence why they get an A-. Crystal Palace, in the middle, a C. I did expect more. I definitely did expect more. Thought they would beat West Ham at home. I thought that's a game where in front of the fans you can really show your philosophy. Glasner's been really good, and I thought away to Brentford as well, that was an opportunity for them to do really well. But I think the fact they're not an F is because I see patterns of play, and they've you know, got points on the board as well, and I think that's the most important thing. So for me, Crystal Palace in a C. Let's now move on to Everton and F. 3 losses. just things aren't going at all for Everton. But I will say they were absolutely incredible, in that second half before they completely collapsed. And you can see there's some sort of pattern developing with Dyche, and they've got a really good philosophy. They just completely fell off, and it was such a shame. But you cannot account for a higher grade when you've lost all 3 of your games and conceded the goals that they have conceded. Next up, Southampton. It's an F. This is an F for Southampton. Lost all 3 games as well, and they keep persisting with playing out the back. It just isn't working for them, but I'm sure they'll gather pace. They've got United next. That'll be interesting, the 2 F grade teams, see how they get on. But for me, Southampton, you've got to switch up your play or you're just going straight back down. Fulham, B-, pretty good start, to be honest, pretty good start. You can see the patterns of play. I did think they were quite good against Manchester United, probably deserved a bit better. A home win as well against Leicester, pretty good for them. But away to Ipswich, I thought that was a poor performance. I did watch that game because I love Smith Rowe, Iwobi, all the Hayland Arsenal guys are there. But I feel like they haven't really, got the points I thought they would against Ipswich. I thought that was an opportunity for them to get the 3 points. Talking of Ipswich, let's move on to them. And same for them, B+, actually, B+. I know they've had tough games, Liverpool and City, but they've shown enough for me that they're going to be really, really good. And I feel like that home performance against Fulham was absolutely incredible. They suffocated them, looked so steady, and for me, definitely deserving of a B+ grade. Next up, Leicester, and for me, pleasantly surprised by Leicester. I know that they've got a point against Tottenham at home. I thought that was really, really good. Lost to Fulham and lost to Villa. But there is something to work with there for Leicester, and I feel like they're going to surprise people, and that they're going to have a better season than many people thought. Everyone would say they're going straight down with PSR and all those issues, but I think they're definitely going to surprise people. Next up, Newcastle, and for me, A- for Newcastle. They're just so good. I just love the football they play, especially at home. Beat Tottenham, really, really good. Draw to Bournemouth, and against adversity at home, they got the 3 points against Southampton as well. So really, really good start. Unbeaten, 7 points. What can you really be, angry at as a Newcastle fan? I think they've been a really, really, really good this season. Next up, Forest. For me, A+. For Forest. They've been really, really solid. And for me, I thought they were one of the teams that would probably, go down. But they've shown everyone that they're a good footballing side. Morgan Gibbs-White, they've got such an exciting team. Elanga, kept on to him. And they're unbeaten right now, albeit with 5 points. So for me, Forest, definitely A+ in what I thought they would have started the season like. Next up, West Ham. And for me, it's a B-, to be honest, for West Ham. Pretty impressive. They went to Crystal Palace away and won. They've had Manchester City, a difficult game, Villa. But I thought in front of the crowd, in front of their fans, they would show more against Villa, and it just wasn't it for them. But I can see the philosophies Lopetegui likes to play with, and I'm sure they'll definitely improve. Next up, Wolves. For me, B- as well. They've played some really good football. I know they got battered by Chelsea, but again, there was things to suggest from the game that they would be pretty good this season. And I know a draw against Nottingham Forest as well. Probably expected them to win that game, but O'Neill has a plan, and I really, really do like the football he's playing. Now let us move on to the last team, and that team is Brighton. And for me, A+ for Brighton. Unbeaten, beat Manchester United, beat Everton away first game of the season, drew to Arsenal as well. Very, very good start for me, and I feel like they're going to push on, kick on, and look really good under this new manager.